Egypt stock market indices collectively treated amid mixed selling and purchasing creations. The world stocks dip and U.S. yields are higher amid tariff push. And U.S. foreign aid hold to have a major hit on poorest countries. Welcome back. The news in full. Egypt stock market indices collectively retreated on Tuesday amid selling and purchasing operations by the optimistic investors on both directions. The benchmark EGX 30 index slid by 1.14% to close at 29564.21 points. Also the EGX 70 index for small and medium businesses shed 3.39% to reach 8342.04 points. And the broader EGX 100 index lost 3.01% to close at 11402.44 points. The market capitalization gained about £1 billion to close at £2 trillion and £186 billion amid the transaction of about £91.7 billion. A gauge of the global stocks was slightly lower, while U.S. Treasury yields advanced on Tuesday as investors braced for the repercussions from the latest U.S. tariff announcements and digested comments from the Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 0.08%, and the Standard & Poor's 500 shed 0.09%, and the Nasdaq Composite fell 0.06%, and stocks in Asia were mostly down, with Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index declining 1.06%, the Shanghai Composite dipping 0.12%, while South Korea's Kospi was up 0.71%. The European trading held steady, with the France CAC retreating 0.05%, while Germany's DAX gained 0.02%, and Britain's FTSE 100 was down 0.05%. Oil prices rose on the Russian and Iranian supply concerns, although the tariff announcement kept gains in check. U.S. President Donald Trump on Monday raised the tariffs on steel and aluminium imports to 25% from the previous 10%. The U.S. dollar held on to earlier losses on Tuesday after the Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell said the U.S. Central Bank was in no rush to cut its short-term interest rate again. More details follow in the coming reports.
The U.S. dollar held on to earlier losses on Tuesday after Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell said the U.S. Central Bank was in no rush to cut its short-term interest rate again. Powell said in testimony before the Senate Banking, Housing and Urban Affairs Committee that the view on rates reflected the U.S. economy being strong overall, with low unemployment and inflation that remains above the Fed's 2% target. Consumer price data for January is due on Wednesday and is expected to show inflation remained sticky during the month. Powell will also testify before the House Financial Services Committee on Wednesday. Futures priced in 35 basis points worth of Fed rate cuts by the year-end. Total changed from before Powell's comments, which implies 125 BPS cut and only a partial chance of a second. The US dollar index was last down 0.17% and 108.18. Traders are also watching announcements on tariffs by U.S. President Donald Trump, which some analysts say may lead to further increases in the U.S. inflation and dent global growth. Trump on Monday said he would announce plans to impose reciprocal tariffs on other countries over the next 2 days, doubling down on comments he made on Sunday. On Sunday, Trump said he would introduce new 25% tariffs on the steel and aluminium imports into the U.S. on top of the existing metals duties. The European Union said it would respond with firm and proportionate countermeasures. The euro was last up 0.22% at $1.033. The Canadian dollar weakened 0.03% versus the greenback to $1.43 per dollar.
The 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 International Monetary Fund Managing Director Christina Georgieva said the United States was clear in its intent to take action on the areas the trade, tax, public spending, deregulation, immigration, technology and digital assets. Mexico, Canada and the European Union on Tuesday condemned U.S. President Donald Trump's decision to impose the tariffs on all steel and the imports next month, a move that has fanned fears of the trade war. Trump signed the proclamation late on Monday, raising the U.S. tariff rate on aluminium to 25% from his previous 10% rate and eliminating the country expected and quota deals, as well as hundreds of thousands of the specific tariff exclusions for both metals. The measures due to take effect on March 12, while apply to 12 million tons of this steel imports from Canada, Brazil, Mexico, South Korea, and the countries that had been entering the U.S. duty-free under the trade routes. European Union Chief Ursula von der Leyen vowed on Tuesday that U.S. tariffs on steel and aluminium will not go unanswered, adding that they will trigger tough countermeasures from the 27-nation bloc. Von der Leyen said that the EU would act to safeguard its economic interests and would protect its workers, businessmen and the consumers. The EU chief announced a push to channel 200 billion euros in the public and the private investment into Europe's nascent artificial intelligence industry. The EU investment push would include the 20 billion euros to finance 4 gigafactories to allow open, collaborative development of the most complex artificial intelligence models. A suspension of the U.S. foreign aid and possible dismantling of the U.S. Agency for International Development will have a major impact on some of the world's poorest countries. Less than a week after Trump returned to the White House, USAID told non-governmental groups they would have cease operations immediately because the new administration had frozen its budgets. More details follow in the coming report.
A suspension of U.S. foreign aid and possible dismantling of the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, will have a major impact on some of the world's poorest countries. The Washington-based Center for Global Development warned on Tuesday that for more than 20 economies, a year-long pause on U.S. aid could mean a loss of over 1% of their gross national income. And 8 economies, including South Sudan, Somalia, and Afghanistan, could face a hit of 3% or more. The impact is especially severe for those 8 economies, as more than a fifth of their foreign assistance comes from U.S. aid. The poorest countries are among the main beneficiaries of aid from the International Development Association under the World Bank, which provides loans and grants to low-income countries. U.S. President Donald Trump has ordered a 90-day review of U.S. aid, which runs health and emergency programs in around 120 countries, including the world's poorest. Less than a week after Trump returned to the White House, USAID told non-governmental groups they would have to cease operations immediately because the new administration had frozen its budgets.